All right, thank you so much. Everyone, welcome on in. I'm very excited to be joined by Brian Leetch, of course. Doesn't need any introduction. You all know who he is. Hockey Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup champion, two-time Norris Trophy winner, Calder Trophy winner, last defenseman to score 100 points in the NHL. So many different accolades. What an illustrious career. And we are in New York City, former captain of the New York Rangers. Now, Brian, before we get to you being captain of the Rangers, a lot of things happened before then. Let's start at the beginning. You were drafted in 1986 out of high school. Not long after that, you ended up playing in the Olympics in 1988. As a young kid, that's got to be like having Christmas morning and winning the lottery all at once. What was that like for you?
A lot of things happened in a short amount of time. You know, growing up in Connecticut, I never even dreamed of the NHL and being an NHL player. And it was the 1980 Olympic team when I was with my Connecticut Pee Wee team playing a travel game in Massachusetts. And so as, you know, 11, 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds, we were all excited just to be together in a hotel room. And so whenever the U.S. scored, we'd throw pillows around and jump around on the beds, and we're excited. But that was really like the thing. I was like, wow, a college kid can play in the Olympics? So that was always kind of the outside dream. Like we'd play street hockey, and it was, oh, maybe you could make the U.S. Olympic team. The NHL was so far removed. So then you start playing high school, and you do better, and then someone's like, well, you got a chance to get drafted. And you're like, drafted? And so that all happens in a short time, in a few months. You get drafted, and I get drafted in the first round, which I was supposed to go down towards the second round. And I was like, wow, I might actually have a chance to make the NHL. So went to college, tried out for the Olympic team, and the next thing you know, you're going from that experience, 8 months with the travel team for the Olympics, to the NHL, and I'm sitting there in Madison Square Garden, my first game, with a Rangers jersey on, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Honestly, it all went so quick, and it was so amazing that a kid that grew up in Connecticut that never saw it coming is not that far away, 90 miles away from where I grew up, wearing a New York Rangers jersey. So it was one of those would just shake your head progressions in a short amount of time.
That's a lot of pressure, though, as a young kid. Like, what kind of mental toughness did you have to have?
Zero. Zero. I'm telling you, it gets mentally tougher the longer you play and the better you like here when there weren't, even though there, quote, was expectations, there really wasn't. You know, it was, you're a young player, you're going to make mistakes. And I had good coaches early. They were like, go, we need you to rush the puck. We need you to learn when you make mistakes. So it became later, after you played 8, 9, 10, 11 years, where you had established a certain level of play. Off days became more stressful. Game days became more stressful because you were like, okay, I gotta perform again and again and again.
Now, speaking of mistakes, your second year, things weren't as smooth. You got out of a cab and you injured your ankle. Is that the weirdest injury you've ever had?
I mean, significantly, yeah, where it took me out of, the NHL. I've had a couple other weird injuries that didn't keep me out, but I was like, I can't believe that just happened. But that's a different story. But yeah, that was disappointing because I had gone, earlier that year, I had gone headfirst into the boards, and I had injured a nerve, and my left side of my body was, you know, the nerve was damaged, so I couldn't raise my arm. But I had come back after 3 months, and I was 80% better in the team. All of a sudden, when I was back, started winning. And so it was one of the first nights out in New York, and we all went out, and a few of the guys went back to Mess's place to sleep over, and we were all going to go to practice. I went back, and it was those days with the bad shoes and everything. Instead of just walking around to the opening, I tried to take the step between the cars on the snowbank and did the snap, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I was in complete denial. Limped in, walked upstairs, sat there, and I'm like, laid down. I go, it'll be better when I wake up. So I got up, and I'm like, my ankle still hurts. And I got back, I walked downstairs, got in my car, drove, and I had a standard car, so I was doing the clutch and the gas, and I'm like, my ankle is killing me right now. By the time I got to practice, my ankle was just throbbing. So I limped into practice, I went to the trainer, and it wasn't that swollen. It was just like a dent on one side. And he goes, "What happened?" I told him what happened. And he goes, "All right, we'll put ice on it, we'll treat it." And then he gave me some crutches, sent me off to the doctors. I drove myself to the doctors, crutched my way in. Now it's really hurting. And the doctor comes back and goes, "Brian, you got another spiral fracture," because I had one early in my career. And I just started crying right then because I knew going through the other ankle injury that I was out for the rest of the year. This was in March. So I had missed 3 months in the middle of that with the neck injury, and then came back and got the ankle injury. So that was a low year for sure. That was a downtime.
It was a low year, but then the following year was an incredible year where you won the Norris Trophy, you had 102 points, the last defenseman to score 100 points in the NHL. How does anyone who's a defenseman score 100 points in the NHL? Like, when you look back, what did it come down to?
Well, I've been asked that a lot this year because John Carlson looks like he's going to do it this year. And, I look back and I said that was the year that our coach, Roger Nielsen, played Jeff Bukaboom and I a lot with Mark Messier's line as a fivesome. Most of the time, they're moving defensive pairs in and out with the Lions. We played together probably 75% of the time as 5-on-5 units. So everyone's watched Mark Messier as a player. He's as good as it comes with identifying who's going to be open, creating plays. So I'd just get up there, and if the forwards weren't open, it'd be on my stick. Adam Graves would be in front of the net on the power play. I'd shoot it. The goalie couldn't see it. It'd go in. If it hit somebody in front, Gravy would knock it in, and I'd get an assist. And I played a lot of minutes. So you need to be healthy. You need to have a good team. And you need to be in all those offensive situations. So, it wasn't because I played any better. It was just the opportunities that you were out there for. And then, point-wise, you get advantage of. Otherwise, I would have scored 100 points every year.
1994 Stanley Cup Finals run, an exciting time. I'm sure so many people in this room remember it. It goes down in history after so many years of waiting. And let's go through some of these playoff series, because you knock off the Islanders and you get to the Devils, and you guys you had their number all season, but then you're down 3-2 in the series, and you have Messiers Guarantee. We all know that Mark Messier guaranteed a win in Game 6. As his teammate, when you heard him say that, what was your initial reaction?
We just laughed when we saw it, in the paper, and not like a laugh, it was a good joke. It was just like, look at it, New York, everything gets built up. So one comment about, "I believe we'll win tonight," becomes the guarantee and goes. But everyone knows Mark that's seen him around here. Didn't back away from it one bit.
Well, you have a lot of good memories. Then we go on to the Stanley Cup Final, taking on the Vancouver Canucks. And you guys went up really big in this series, 3-1. What was that pressure like, knowing that you can close out a series and win the Stanley Cup when also, another team is still trying to be able to take it away from you?
Well, I think we were very wary of Vancouver because they were on a fairy tale run. They were a lower seed, and they had beaten some good teams. And Pavel Bure was playing unbelievable. Kirk McLean as a goalie was playing unbelievable. We came in same as we came into the Islander series. We were scared when we went into that first Islander game because they played well against us. And they didn't have as good a regular season. We went in the same way, and Vancouver beat us in overtime when we outplayed them completely. So that second game we played in the Garden, it was not quite a Game 7 in our minds, but close. We had to win that second one. After we won that and we won the next two, we felt pretty good, about where we were coming back. But they weren't easy games. We had, Mark always says, you got to have ice bags on after the game to know that you earned it, and all our guys did, and we were banged up, and they came back and won those next two games. Those were two of the best games they played the whole series. So we didn't play poorly in those two games. They had nothing to to lose, you know, they're like, we're going to not let this be easy. And they came out and gave it to us. So, you know, it set it all up for Game 7, which was, you know, it was a tense time.
Yeah. Okay, describe to all of us. I mean, many of us, I don't know who's all in the crowd, but I'm pretty sure not all of us have played a Game 7 Stanley Cup Final before. What are the emotions and the anxiety and just the feeling of waking up the day of Game 7 and knowing that you could win the Stanley Cup or you could lose it?
I think for people that followed it, it was the one game leading up to it that we had a 2-day break. So as it went every other, and so we're going West Coast, East Coast back. And so we had 2 days in between. And it was the first time, at least personally, that I realized Vancouver realized how close they were to the Stanley Cup. And you saw quotes about how hard it was to beat a team 3 times in a row, especially twice at home. And they were starting to, you know, you could see they were like, we are this 60 minutes from winning Stanley Cup. And so Mark, and we had veterans, Kevin Lowe and McTavish, and guys that had been through it and won 5 Stanley Cups. And, you know, they just kept you even keeled. Whatever jokes they made on regular ones, it was still going on. And just reminding, like, we're a good team. We just got to go out and play. It wasn't really about worrying about what they were going to do. It was about how we were going to approach it and go play. In my mind, you know, it'd been 54 years. So I'm like, you're either going to be another one of the guys that weren't able to win it, or you have this great opportunity to be on this team that does have a chance to win it. So I'm like, it was really, I made myself believe that it was a no-lose, you know? Like, even though it would be a loss and it'd be talked about, you just join a long list of teams that couldn't do it. But the chance to actually win that and go out and do it. So I was fine during the day and like went out for the game, and the energy was different than Game 5. Game 5, the energy was off the charts. Everybody there thought we were going to win. We were like, we're winning this thing. And, you know, then Vancouver went up 3-0. We came back tied at 3-3. Then they went and scored right away. So it was up and down. So then we lost the next one. So now you can just feel like it's excitement, but the fans are just as nervous. You know, like they're like, don't let this happen again. Don't let this happen again. So the game starts, you know, and it was, you know, it was a regular hockey game to start.
Right, takes the pressure off, sort of lets you settle into the game, open things up, and you win the Stanley Cup. What was that like? How can you describe that for us, someone like me or anyone else in this room who's never won a Stanley Cup before?
Every emotion that you can have, all in a short time. I mean, there's a lot of relief, actually. You know, you think it's all these, but there was a lot of relief that you've put in a lot of effort for the year, for the playoffs, and you ended up on the end of the goal. There's a lot of stress and stuff that comes off of you that you don't even realize you have. Just kind of goes away, and then you're excited, and then you see players on your team excited, and guys that didn't play a lot and guys that played a lot, and you know how important each one was, and then the trainers, and you're going through, and as you're looking around, you see all the people that have gone from generation to generation and passing, and that's when I just kind of went to awe, and like I was looking around, I go, this is so great for so many people, and I've been only here for 5 years, 6 years. And all these people have been hoping for this moment for so long, and you're in Madison Square Garden, so it's like all going through like in a rush, and you're excited, and so there's like so many things going on all in such a short time. That's amazing. I mean, it's a bit of a blur, but I just remember all those mixed emotions, and most of them positive, but a lot of great memories.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for your time here tonight. We really appreciate your
Thank you.